St. Louis, happy Friday. It is June 21st, and I am so happy that we made it to the end of the week. I love Fridays. Fridays are my favorite day of the week. But we have a lot to talk about today here on Locked On Blues. So we're going to talk about, again, goals and some more fun topics, but this is Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Blues your first listen every single day. My name is Haley Taylor Simon, and I am your host of Locked On Blues, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. The Locked On Podcast Network is great, St. Louis, because besides listening to me talk about the St. Louis Blues, you can also listen to my friends over at Locked On Cardinals to hear all of that baseball talk. So that is the brilliant thing about this podcast network, is that you get to hear a specific podcast about your specific team every single day. It is brilliant. I love it. But I wanted to give a little shout out to them since I am rooting for the Cardinals to have a better second half of the season. It may not happen, but I'm still rooting for them. So again, hello, you guys. My name is Haley. I work in sports radio, so I am used to comments and questions and people agreeing, people disagreeing. That is the beauty of this podcast, is that you can have your opinion. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, but we're going to talk it out. So if you're my friends on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, say what's up. If you're listening on any other streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, Sirius, wherever you get your podcast, make sure to subscribe, and you can always tweet at Locked On Blues to let me know how you're feeling, or my own Twitter account, which is at Haley T. Simon. So if all of that being said, I want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So a theme of this week was called the idealistic season goals. And this was something that I kind of came up with. It's off season right now. Not much in the hockey world is happening. And it got me thinking. Right now, if I were head coach Berube of the St. Louis Blues, what would I want the team to accomplish this season? And trust me, there is a lot I want them to accomplish, okay? But we have to take it one step at a time. We had the coaching goals, we had the offensive goals, and now for you, I have the defense's goal, or goals, but mainly just one goal in my mind. So that is the beauty of this, is that I am able to sit down and talk to you and let you know, if I were Coach Berube, Craig Berube of the St. Louis Blues, what would I do? So here's my defense goal. Defend. No, I'm joking. Could you imagine if that was like the only goal? I mean, like, I'm not wrong. But my biggest goal is this. You need to protect Binnington. That is the number one goal for this season, is to create a more dominant defense. I could say, it's not a big deal. They'll figure it out. But last season was just such a pitiful display of what the defense really wasn't. And it's embarrassing. It wasn't something I could look back on and feel proud of this team. I looked back and I felt embarrassed. So a player that I feel like will have a good season again is Justin Folk. He is a player that, again, a lot of people have considered for a potential captain position. While I do like Folk, it's like every player could do something to do a little bit better. And one of those guys that is going to be staying with the St. Louis Blues is Torey Krug. And I want to see him have a better season. Play your heart out and prove why you chose to stay in St. Louis and not go to Philadelphia. This is something where, I don't want to be too tough, right? Because sometimes there are seasons where the team just doesn't pick it up and it's not good. But what I will say is this St. Louis team has the potential to be one of the better teams in hockey. And even Letty, it's just do better. Obviously, Parako, he's an A for a reason, right, folks? So he is a strong player. And it's not like I could pick apart these players one by one and say, well, they need to do this and that and that. It's more like they just didn't play connected. So I guess another goal that I have for the defense this season is to play like a team. Play with some heart, play with some passion, play like you want to be there on the St. Louis Blues. It is a privilege and an honor to be on the St. Louis Blues. And I'm not taking that lightly either. As somebody that covers the St. Louis Blues, it is a privilege and honor to cover the Blues. So, of course, it's a privilege and honor to be on the team. Think about it. There's 32 teams in the National Hockey League. And you get the opportunity to be on the team. Take full advantage. Play every single game like it is your last. Because I can promise you this, with last season's defense, there is no exception and there is no more excuses. One thing that I think the Blues, and myself included, I think even the fan base, I think all just in totality was making excuses. And at the end of the day, there is no excuses to be made. This is a hockey team that has potential. But the number one problem last season was the defense, was the blue line. And again, it was that power, the penalty kill, the PK. The power play was fine because, again, that was the offense. It was the PK. And it's not Bennington's fault at all that this team couldn't protect him behind the net. Even a Tyler Tucker, I expected more out of. Again, Cal Rosen, are you kidding me? Rosen, 39 years old. Do better. I shouldn't have to even say any of that, but it's the reality. And I want to know, what do you think? Do you think this defense will turn things around? If I were Coach Berube, I would say to Doug Armstrong, hey, listen, I think we need to make a trade for a veteran defensive player this offseason. Because I don't know how confident I feel with this team. I just don't know how to feel. And you should know how to feel because I don't know how to feel. And if I don't know how to feel, then how do you feel? Because all I do is live, love life. St. Louis Blues hockey. Am I freaking out right now? Yes, because I just want it to be October, but I don't at the same time because this defense makes me bleeping nervous and it freaks me out and it's just too much and I can't handle it. I hate defense. But going off of defense, and this is something that I wanted to see, I thought I was going to maybe wait till Monday's episode to talk about this, but I need to make this quick comment about Bennington. He is the rock to this team. He is so important. They always say your team is only as good as your goalie. And goalies play the most defensive position. They're the last stop between that net and the puck. That's the goalie. The defense obviously tries to defend that space in between, but Benner is the last guy. And last season, I saw him struggle. But I don't want to say it was him. The team struggled. And I think going forward, St. Louis Blues fans, with St. Louis Blues hockey, you need to stop blaming specific players. Sure, players can have bad games. That's life, right? But that's not fair to blame the players. It's not fair to break down individual guys like that because hockey is a team sport. This isn't an individual game of tennis where you're just playing one player versus another or table tennis. I love betting on table tennis, but this is hockey, and hockey is a team sport. And Benner didn't obviously have that support last season, and it's a shame because he deserved that support and he deserved to have that protection around the net. He deserved all of that. So I think going back, and we're going to go full circle on this one, you guys. Going back, I think that overall, the defense just needs to step it up. That's all they need to do. Be more aggressive, be more dominant on the ice, Don't play lackadaisical hockey because that will not fly. And also, I think that it's not a bad thing to say, hey, Dougie A, why aren't you going after a veteran defensive player to add to the squad? Maybe he is, but I mean, a lot of them are gone right now. So I'm kind of like, I don't know about that one, Doug. But it's one of those things where I'm going to try to be a little bit optimistic because I am excited about the future of the St. Louis Blues with the additions that they got from this draft. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about St. Louis Blues hockey, you think tough, you think resilient, you think hockey. You know, some of these teams, they're not real hockey teams. Like the Arizona Coyotes, they don't scare me. They're not a real, I mean, I know they're a real hockey team. But I want to be in the level where people talk about St. Louis the way they talk about Boston. And the Blues beat Boston in the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm just saying, like, they're not a bad team. Just remember that they're not a bad team. So let's go take a step back. Let's pause. Let's rewind. Let's take a chill pill, if you want to say, because I need to tell you about something. Bird dogs. Bird dogs are a stretch khaki short. And people in my office today, my coworkers, were wearing bird dogs and they love it. They go to the pool in their bird dogs, then they get out of the pool, they go do some errands in them. They love their bird dogs and they look nice. The pastel blue color looks amazing. It would be such a great gift or just a good surprise. Hey, I got you some bird dogs. You would be the MVP of that relationship, family, whatever you want yourself. I don't care. Bird dogs, though. So make sure to go to birddogs.com/lockedonnhl to get a free Yeti style tumbler with your purchase. Again, folks, that's birddogs.com/lockedonnhl for a free Yeti style tumbler. We promise you, you won't want to take your bird dogs off. Okay. I love Fridays because Fridays are fun. And on Fridays, we get to have a little bit more fun here in Locked On Blues because it is off season for the St. Louis Blues right now. And the Barbie movie came out. I'm a Barbie girl. Well, yeah, but the Blues made some memes. And I love it. A lot of the sports teams have been making these memes where they've been taking different players and they've been putting them like on like a little Ken doll kind of cutout type of thing. And this is what I love about the St. Louis organization is that they are such a fun team where they do things, they're creative, and their social media team really does a good job. And it makes me happy. But another thing that St. Louis said, and this was a really good question, and I like some of these replies. And it got me laughing. So they put out something being like, if you could go back in time and watch one Blues alumni in his prime, who would it be? And it was a picture. I'm not laughing, but I'm laughing, of Wayne Gretzky. And he has the C on, right? And somebody commented, honestly, I had to tell you guys on this podcast. It said, I found it funny that Gretzky played a total of 18 games with St. Louis and was the captain. Somebody replied and said, it is weird, but who's going to tell him that he can't be? Oh my gosh. But Gretzky did have full intentions in staying in St. Louis. They just couldn't afford him. So it wasn't like he just was like, oh, I'm going to be captain, and then he left. But that was just something that I found funny because the Blues asked, like, who's one alumni you wish you could see play again? And there's so many, like, there's so many great players. And then, of course, they use the picture of Wayne Gretzky, and, like, 99 is the best of all time. I know that. I shouldn't be laughing this hard. But it's funny because it could have been like, which player do you wish stayed on the Blues longer? They could have done something, but of course they had to use a picture of Gretzky. So Bazin is another good one. I liked him a lot. Bob Gassoff, Pronger. Oh, who doesn't like Pronger, right? But just like there's so many Blues players out there that they could have used a picture of. And of course, it was a picture of Wayne Gretzky. I mean, like, granted, he was a St. Louis Blue. But so my question that I have for you is, if I can compose myself from laughing, is if there is one current player from the Blues past, So a former Blues player that you would want to see on this current Blues roster. So imagine if you could take him from the past, like it's 1989, and you could just go and you put him here now in 2023, 2024 season. Who would it be, and who do you think would make the most impact on ice? Ironically, I was stuck between Keith Tkachuk or Gretzky because I just feel like they're the two best players that have ever played for St. Louis. But it's so funny. I really have to commend the social media person because it really made me crack up. I was because it's like out of all the players, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. But that was another thing on their social media. This is why I like Fridays because it just gets us to have some fun banter and conversation. They've signed, I don't know if I told you guys this for year 2. They signed Alexei Torchenko, so that's sick. They also officially signed Dvorsky, so we love that. Not much has gone on with the hockey. I still think that meme is like super funny because they said he is Mackenzie because it's Mackenzie Urchin. So I'm like, haha, so funny. But some of the comments lately when it comes to St. Louis Blues stuff has just made me laugh. Like everyone's like, please delete. A lot of people want IVB back. They want Barbashev back. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it wouldn't be like a bad thing to have him back, but is it like time to move on? I don't know. But he's also a veteran. He's also somebody that just won the cup in Vegas. So I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, but a lot of people lately, I've been seeing that on social media. I'm like on Twitter. I'm in these streets on Twitter. I see what you be posting. And a lot of you want him back. Hockey in the summer sometimes can just be so slow, and it's like the littlest thing can cause the biggest news. So yeah, personally, it's just like it's just one of those things that I'm trying to find different things, but the Blues have been so quiet since the draft. And I think it's because they had all this excitement leading up to the draft to where it's kind of like, okay, what now? Like that's the vibe I'm getting. So it's not that there's not much to talk about. It's more the fact that they're radio silent. And the only thing that I got today was a stupid meme of of Mackenzie, but of a Ken doll. But it was Mackenzie. Mackenzie, get it? So funny. St. Louis. That was the fakest laugh. Oh man. See, I'm in a silly, goofy mood today. So I hope you can appreciate that here in Locked On Blues. Alrighty. Before I get to my favorite segment in the entire planet, I'm going to tell you about Game Time. Game Time is the best ticketing service and the fastest ticketing service out there. You get your tickets instantly on Game Time with only 2 swipes. It's that simple. You even get to see where you're sitting before you purchase the ticket. So Game Time will show you a map and you'll see the location. Is this a good seat? Yep, 2 swipes, boom, and it is yours. The thing I also like about Game Time is that it's not just for games. You can see concerts and other activities like the monster trucks. You can see that with Game Time. So this summer, if you're looking to see the St. Louis Cardinals in action, make sure you head over to Game Time, download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the Game Time app, Locked On NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Go see some baseball, go do something, save it for hockey season. But I love my friends at Game Time and wanted to tell you about them. All right. My favorite Friday segment. This has become a tradition here on Locked On Blues, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where I ask you on my Twitter account at Locked On Blues, was this a good week for the St. Louis Blues? Because it is. Are we feeling blue time? I love this. So each week, I ask a question that indicates how you felt for this week. And I do this because of 2 things. One, sometimes the week can be a really good hockey week. Sometimes the hockey week can be a really bad hockey week. And then sometimes you're just a little indifferent. But for me this week, I had a different opinion than majority of you. So 74% of you said yes, no complaints, while 26% of you said no, explain. And one account said, what's going on? Like, what's happening here? And I'm in the same way. I am feeling blue this week. I shouldn't. And you might disagree with me. So make sure you comment below if you are disagreeing with me, which is fine. You're allowed to disagree with me. You're not allowed to always agree with me because I don't always agree with me. Like sometimes I'll look back my past episodes and I'm like, you know what? I could see it through this viewpoint. And I love that. That's called opinion. So it's very important to have your opinion, stick to your opinions, and never let anybody tell you that you can't have your opinion. That's the life lesson here on Locked On Blues. But why am I feeling blue? I am wearing blue, but I am also feeling blue. I don't feel good. I mean, I feel fine. I don't feel sick. But it is July 21st. We're getting closer to hockey season. There has yet to be a captain named. There has yet to be any moves done to the defense. I can't say I feel great. Each week I am waiting for them just to do something and nothing's happening. So, yeah, I don't feel happy. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is the worst week because obviously it's not the worst week. There was some positives this week, I think, with the memes. But overall, I just want to see some more hockey action happening. Is that too much? Am I asking for too much? Or is this just how it is in the off season? I feel like right now the NHL has been quiet. In years past, and maybe it's because of the bubble hockey and just the different times that everything took place, it didn't all kind of align, if that makes sense. And now I'm like, okay, I'm bored and I miss hockey and I miss, I miss being able to talk about hockey. I miss being able to listen to hockey, to watch the games and to do everything. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit down. I'm not saying that the reason why I'm down is justified, but I think I just would feel more confident and more secure knowing the fact that there would be more addition to the defense. And that's what it comes down to. It's the defense. Okay, name a captain or don't name a captain. That's not going to impact how the season goes. But the players that you have on defense, they will. We have a new defensive coordinator, a new defensive coach. Coordinator, give me football talk. But oh man, it's July. No, but there's a new defensive coach, and I feel I don't know. The defense makes me nervous. Ugh. Are you feeling nervous about the defense, or are you just like, oh, hey, let's all be fine? You're overreaching. I'm freaking out. I might have to buy a Torey Krug jersey just so I can give him that good vibe that people care about him, so he plays better. What up, Krugy? I'll be your number one fan. Come on. I do need to get a new jersey. So if you are listening right now, my St. Louis Blues fans, comment below whose jersey I should get. Obviously, we got the Keith Tkachuk. I like to get a lot of throwbacks. That's one thing about me. I'm a weirdo. I love old school hockey. So you'll always see me rocking the old school stuff. But which player on this team deserves me to have a jersey of them? A Braden Shen, I was considering, or a Bennington. So that is my two options right now. But if you're all saying, hell, let's go get a Robert Thomas, future of the St. Louis Blues, I'm not going to say no. But if you're going to tell me who's somebody, hold on, I need to look this up. I need to figure out, I need to look at the roster for a second to see who from the team that would be kind of funny. If you told me to get a Sammy Blais jersey, if enough of you told me, I would. All right, you guys, I will talk to you all next time here on Locked On Blues, which will be next week, unless there's an emergency this weekend, which I doubt there will be an emergency because it's going to be a quiet weekend per usual. All right, this was fun. I'll talk to you next time here on Locked On Blues, right a part of your Locked On Podcast Network. And how I end every single episode, let's go Blues.